Welcome back, my fellow degenerates. Super Wildcard Weekend has wrapped up, and it delivered. We had some great games, but yeah, shout out to the college football playoff kicking it off Thursday and Friday night. Just led into an overall great week of football. Um, there has been some talks about changing the wild card weekend format of changing it from the division winners to the winning percent winners. Personally, I think this is a terrible choice. Um, for those of you that watch basketball, this is much more akin to this, where you just have the East and the West divisions. Standings really only mean anything. Just getting rid of the division winners, I think is terrible. I don't like the divisions being meaningless other than you play those teams twice a year. So I think this is something the NFL should stay very far away from. But I hope you guys give me your thoughts on it. But yeah, we had some great games. Some upsets happened, which are always exciting to see. But for the most part, the big dogs all won, which means we get to see some big dogs face each other in the following week. So, yeah, this week I'm just going to go over the games a little bit, talk about them. That's about it. Later in this week, we're going to have some more talks with Dan and potentially Simon if he doesn't bail. No promises though. But we're going to react to our hot takes that we made leading up throughout the off season and to this next year. So we'll be doing like a live read through of some hot takes that I've all put down. So it's going to be a good one. But yeah, so without further ado, let's just jump into this week's video of breaking down those super wildcard weekends.
In audio.
What's up, everybody? Our super wildcard weekend has been wrapped up, and it was a great first weekend of the playoffs. So I'm here today to no more fantasy implications. We're just kind of going over the games and giving some thoughts on them, talk about them a little bit, get all that going. But before we get started on the games, I will say this was probably the best weekend of football for the entire year. That Thursday, Friday college football semifinals coming in to lead us into the super wildcard weekend. Oh, just so perfect, man. Nice to see Notre Dame get the win, Ohio State get the win as well. So let's hope it's a good final. Anyways, moving on with the NFL. First off, kind of had a bad start, to be honest. That Texans Chargers game, real slow start. Texans had some struggles holding onto the ball early. And then it kind of flip flopped in the second half with Justin Herbert there with the four picks. Good lord. Um, I will say, like, one of them at least you can chalk up to Will Disley, but that was a big struggle game from Herbert. Rightfully so. He's been getting so much heat on Twitter, calling him just washed and terrible, worse than Trevor Lawrence, worse than Caleb Williams. So we'll see. I think it's easy to overreact in these situations, especially with the Texans not playing super well as well in the game, especially on offense. But I still like the Chargers a lot moving forward next year. Um, it's the first year with a new coach, a new system, all that stuff getting played in. So I'm not worried about them. I mean, last season they only had 5 wins. They were picking fifth overall. So much better performance this year overall. I'm excited for the Chargers a lot moving forward. And then same with the Texans as well. Texans year has been pretty awful, I would say. Obviously, they won their division. They're king of Turd Mountain, which is the AFC South, um, which isn't much, but their defenses looked amazing. Their offense has really struggled a lot the whole season. Nico Collins being out, their line just being awful. CJ Stroud underperforming with a sophomore slump. So it's nice to see him get the win. And I think it's a good sign for him to get the win, even though he's not playing well overall this year. I think it's just good for the future just to show that he has what it takes to be an NFL quarterback winning these playoff games. All right, and then moving on, our next game on Saturday was the Steelers Ravens. This game pretty much was exactly how was expected. Ravens got out to an early lead. Derrick Henry just ran it down Steelers' throat, and they just never really had a chance. Yeah, I mean, this game was good to see from Lamar. Obviously, not the greatest stats numbers just because of pure volume. He didn't throw the ball a ton. He did look great out there. He had a couple beautiful throws that were just like magnificent. So we love to see that. That was exciting. Derrick Henry, big play of the game was him just absolute bitch slapping Minka Fitzpatrick to the ground. That was very fun to see. Minka's a loud player, so it's kind of good to see him just get kind of handed his shit a little bit. I enjoyed that. Derrick Henry almost 200 yards, the TD he's scoring. So um, Lamar also he carried the ball quite a few times. I think he had 80 rushing yards. So one thing we'll notice in the playoffs here is these quarterbacks tend to keep the ball a lot more, especially the Lamars, the Josh Allens, even Patrick Mahomes. When it comes down to the crucial plays, third or fourth down, they will run it when they need to, especially not really surprised with Lamar and Josh, but they're just more likely to take the risk, face that contact, and power through. So, personally, I enjoy that type of football. I think it's more fun to see the quarterbacks just go for it. So, we're happy about that. And then let's see. Wrapping up the AFC, we had the Broncos and the Bills. The Broncos did have some hope here early, I will say. They had a touchdown on the first drive. I believe it was Bo Nix to Troy Franklin, which funny enough was the first rookie quarterback to rookie wide receiver touchdown in NFL history. Um, didn't really expect that. I thought that would have for sure happened, but it hasn't. So congrats to them. That was pretty much their only highlight for the game, though. The Bills struggled a little bit at first, getting a field goal, a touchdown, but they went into the half with the league, and after that, they really just broke away. Um, there's just no stopping Josh Allen this year. The Broncos team are not the team to do it. We'll see if the Ravens are next week, but yeah, I think an interesting thing here is it's really working out well for both Lamar and Josh. Neither of them have that alpha wide receiver. I mean, obviously, Amari Cooper kind of fits that mold if we weren't 3 years too late on his career. But yeah, I mean, Curtis Samuel led the team in yards. So we like that. But yeah, so great start for Bo. Making the playoffs as a rookie is already a great feat. Getting a touchdown in the game still, that's nice for him. Excited to see where he and Sean Payton wind up next season in terms of a record and how things are going. Um, let's see. Moving over to the NFC, we have the Packers and Eagles. I was excited for this game. I thought it would be fun. This the Texans Chargers game was bad, but I think for me personally, this was the hardest game to watch. Yeah, I mean, Hurts started out with like 6 completions, and then he didn't have another completion for like almost a whole half. Um, the Packers like absolutely shat their pants turning the ball over. I think there was 3 turnovers in the first half, and the Eagles only got 10 points off of that. Including the touchdown off the first opening kickoff fumble, which was a little bit controversial. Um, I don't know if anyone's looked into that, but it's a little bit like he kind of had the ball going into the pile. The pile came out. It wasn't, and the Eagles came out with the ball. So they're like, all right, I guess the Eagles get the ball. But anyways, that's besides the point. What's happened's happened. Yeah, I mean, 3 turnovers in the first half. The Eagles only scored 10 points. That's kind of not exciting if you think your team's a Super Bowl contender. You need to be able to punish the teams making mistakes, and that's not what we felt from the Eagles at all. Like I mentioned, I think at some point in the third quarter, Hertz had 6 completions for 39 yards. That's pretty gross. Hertz is like he threw more in the fourth quarter down the stretch, and there was some back and forth with him scoring. But I mean, the Packers are so sloppy. They had so many injuries. Obviously, Christian Watson. Say what you will about him, he was already out before coming into the game with his knee injury, torn. He's out for the year, but he's like a legitimate NFL wide receiver. Romeo Dobbs, big hit in the head in the end zone. He went out for the rest of the game. Jaden Reed got hit in the shoulder. He went out. Um, just a total mess, multiple holding penalties, um, pass interference on the defensive side, just terrible, terrible showing from the Packers. I really don't know what I think about them moving forward. They have a tough division, obviously, one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. I don't think the teams in their division are going anywhere in terms of their core still being strong. So, yeah, I mean, I think the sophomore slump's okay for Love, but I don't really know like how high he's going to bounce back. With Josh Jacobs there, it's just he's still obviously the main focus point of the offense. So we'll see what that looks like next year. The most exciting game of the weekend, obviously for everyone, was the Commies and the Bucks. Um, Bucks coming through with crapping their pants once again down the stretch. You got to be so frustrated if you're on the defense for the Bucks. They had some good plays, but Jaden Daniels and the Commies pulled it out. Baker Mayfield just dropping the ball when he needs to on the fumbles, unfortunate. A little bit of a slow first half. It was nice to see Mike Evans out there dueling against Marshawn Lattimore, especially on that first touchdown drive in the first half. They were down 10-3 with less than 2 minutes left. Mike Evans, 3 catches down the stretch, the important pass interference call over Lattimore, and then getting the touchdown. Somehow that rivalry is still going. It's so exciting to see. But yeah, second half, like I said, Baker Mayfield and the Bucks kind of struggled outside of a few good plays. We'll see what their offense looks like the next year. Their OC Sam Cohn could be going somewhere else as a potential head coach candidate, but yeah, Commies, Jaden Daniels. It is so exciting to see a rookie win in the playoffs. He had some adversity, getting cut in the face with a little blood mark, but he seemed happy about the win. Of course, watching the kickback, it was just so funny to see the doink and then it goes in. Like that's just how the NFL is this year. That's the perfect story to describe it. It's just so many acts of randomness. So, yeah, I think that was a good game. That being said, the Commies are going into Detroit next week. I worry for them greatly. I think Jaden's good at pulling out these scrappy games against these lesser teams, but versus the Lions next week, I don't know if they can do the same thing. So, best of luck to them. I'm excited to see them play though. And then the final game, Monday night, Rams versus Vikings. This game also kind of blew chunks. Rams driving down the field just from the get-go, getting a touchdown. Vikings 3 and out, Rams field goal, and the game is pretty much over right then. So, I mean, Rams didn't really have to do anything special on offense. Their defense really carried them, getting a defensive score, multiple turnovers. Sam Darnold, I don't know what to think about Sam Darnold. I think despite the fact of him crapping his pants these past 2 weeks very much, and they're very, very full of crap, I don't think it changes anything for him. I think there's some team out there that is still going to give him a fat contract. He's going to get 50 million a year for a few years. Um, I mean, like worst case 45, 40, but I thinking it's over 50. I think it makes it much easier for the Vikings to say, hey, we're going with JJ McCarthy. We don't have to tag Darnold, that kind of thing, work out a contract with him. But yeah, so yeah, he had a tough game. He's seeing ghosts again. There's memes all over Twitter, which are quite entertaining to see. Yeah, I don't know. You have to be so frustrated for being on the Vikings defense. Your team has 14 wins, 3 losses. Just you feel like you play well, and then just your quarterback keeps just losing the game, losing the game, losing the game. So you hate to see it. But yeah, overall on my picks this week, I went 4-2. Obviously, I made the wrong choice with picking the Bucks over the Commies, and then my other miss was I thought I thought the Chargers were going to win. Um, it didn't happen. They got shit on. We got Herbert the choker. Um, Hate to see it, but we'll see going forward. Um, we got a video coming out later this week with the guys. I will go over next week's picks with all of us, just so it's not just me. But yeah, so obviously we have the Ravens and Bills matchup of the week easily. Super pumped for that one. Chiefs Texans. Yeah, Chiefs should take that pretty handily. You never know with Stroud and that Texans D though. And then Lions Commies, like I just talked about, and then the Eagles Rams as well. So we got some good games. But that's about all I got. So I will see you guys later on this week. Peace.